Hello, everyone. Ready for lunch? I'm the last one, so we'll make it quick and see if you guys have any questions. I'm going to be very brief. So I'm going to talk about, my quick background. I run engineering for a solutions organization. So we build solutions and platforms that enable both Cisco and its partners to create business relevant solutions that can be taken to market and monetized by both Cisco and our partners. And we've been building, interestingly, solutions for verticals that you would be surprised. For example, sports and entertainment, healthcare, smart cities, and such. So we bring technologies and infrastructure from Cisco and put that together with elements from our partners to create solutions that solve business problems, right? And that can be consumed by line of business owners. So the context of these solutions is around Internet of Everything. I'll talk briefly about what that means and talk about a couple of sample solutions that we have built or we are piloting in the context of Internet of Everything. And then get into some of the patterns that we have seen and applied in various solutions that we are able to quickly put together and take some solutions to market from concept to deployment in a very short period of time. So that also gives you an idea of what all different elements of, let's say, an SOA stack from such as WSO2 could be used to create new solutions. So what is Internet of Everything? And we have known applications and client-server applications and such for years. I guess the new element that's been added to this is Internet of Things. In the sense, lots of new devices are coming in and getting connected that, along with processes and people and data that we all use to create applications, that confluence of things is kind of creating new opportunities for us. And that's what we've been calling as Internet of Everything within Cisco and in industry. So, and what, so what, right? So what is really the dollar value at stake? So the confluence of all of these things coming together is opening up new opportunities and creating new value. And this is projected that we have trillions of dollars at stake, that are fueled by asset utilization, employee productivity, supply chain logistics, customer experiences, and new innovation around all of these elements that are coming together. So what this enables is, with all this billions of new devices coming into this network, we are able to connect all of those into different applications for retail, smart cities, manufacturing, transportation, and healthcare. I'll give some few examples of those, right? So those are the applications that are coming together that can leverage all of those infrastructure that we always had, and there's new devices coming in, and then the new innovation that are being put together to kind of create these smart applications. And the third point is also, we are getting closer to where the action is, right? We have devices, and then we've been operating in the cloud mostly, right? We're getting the data to the cloud. But more and more, we are able to put compute at the edge of the network, and where you could have applications working at the edge of the network, doing filtering, workflow processing, data aggregation, normalization, and Srinath talked about some of these complex event processing. Those things could be done at the edge of the network. and you can extract application information and then feed it into the workflow that can be processed at multiple layers, right? Both at the edge and intermediate data centers and in the cloud. So let's get to some of the examples, right? I'm going to highlight few solutions in healthcare, retail, just as an illustration, right? So in the context of healthcare, we want to be able to provide a full connected experience for patients, right? Whether they are coming into the hospital, before the hospital, while they are at home, getting into the hospital, and then they're getting out, right? They are back at home, and you want to provide a complete care. It's a care continuum from as a full life cycle. So while you're at home, before you get to the hospital, you're able to kind of use some of the solutions we have created, such as an extended care or a telehealth solution called Cisco Health Presence, where you can interact with your care providers and do the scheduling and interact with and get logistics information of your visit. Get more comfort with the care that's going to be provided to you. And then, as you're walking into the facility, you can interact with the kiosks or mobile devices as you get into the hospital using our Cisco Mobility Exchange services. You could be recognized as a patient that's coming in with a specific schedule, and you could be directed to go and check in at a particular place. So that's at the corner where it can provide the services in the hospital. For example, you may want to get certain things done before you get checked into the room, and you could get to all of those services by using your mobile devices or kiosk. And then once you're checked into a room, this is at the center, so we provide an in-room patient experience, meaning you have personalized video collaboration and interactive application for interacting with all the information that is so far has been disconnected from you, right? In terms of your schedule and the fact that you want certain things. I want my room cleaned, or I want to know about my condition, right? So you could be prescribed, quote unquote, educational material that's relevant for your condition, and as well as entertainment and relaxation videos and such. So I'll talk a little bit about that and get into maybe showing some couple of screenshots. And then after you get home, again, your care continuum is then enabled using our extended care solution, right? You can have ad hoc interactions with your physicians or scheduled interactions and post-op care and vitals that you want to share with the physician that can be, again, kept track of by the system and then made available to the physician, right? So there is a continuum of information as well that takes along, that's taken with you, and your care providers are able to use that to provide optimum care for you. So how is this accomplished, right? So if I start from the right-hand side, we talked about this patient room system. So that's essentially made available on a 42-inch, let's say, TV or a bedside TV, or it's installed at the footwall. We call it as a footwall TV. It used to be a whiteboard where a nurse will come and draw something, but instead it's a television which you can interact with using a pillow speaker. It's not unlike a remote control, but it has a microphone and navigation facilities. And so that's the engagement point at the patient room. And the clinicians and nurses and administrators, they get all the information that's generated from the system, as well as the patient itself is asking for. Let's say the patient is asking for ice chips, or they're requesting something, or they're complaining about certain things. You get to know all of that. And the main, I guess, the value driver in this is you want to get the patient out of the hospital in as little time as possible with the best possible care. So the nurses and care providers are able to do proactive care for you and also get feedback from all the interactions the patient is doing. I'll talk about how those things can be accomplished by an SOA platform, right? And then in the middle tier, we have all the applications that are sitting in the data center and using the Cisco's infrastructure, call manager, video on demand systems, which is Cisco Show and Share, and also the head-end systems for video, IPTV, that can stream out information, infotainment, and educational material, right? And then we'll integrate with the hospital information systems, right? That's a back-end integration. That's electronic medical records, nutrition systems, and nurse assignment systems. So you know who's caring for you, what medication you're supposed to be taking. Information about all of that is provided in this portal that the user is able to interact with, or a patient is able to interact with, using fixed television as well as mobile devices. So what does it look like, right? I mean, in terms of an engagement, so you have a screen like this which is personalized for your particular visit. You are so-and-so, this is your care team that keeps changing, and you are able to look up your schedule and pick up on the messages. Let's say I'm recovering from a knee surgery, right? So your nurse, after the rounding, can put a message saying the goal for today is to take 2 steps, right? Or climb up the stairs. So those things could be made visible to you, and you can make progress. And the nurses or care providers can see what progress you are making through their dashboards. That could be made visible on their mobile devices and their and the dashboards that's available on their stations. And you can also look at order diet. We integrate with diet systems, so you can order menu that's appropriate for your dietary conditions, right? Let's say you're given your diet order says liquid-only diet. So whatever the limited options that are available, you are able to make choices. And you can request, like I mentioned, ice chips, or my room is hot or cold. And more importantly, you are able to provide feedback on all those things. Let's say one of the most important things, let's say county health system is compensated on is the survey that the patient is supposed to turn back after the visit, right? So they don't want to get dinged based on some of the services that they didn't get or they were not satisfied with. So while they are in the hospital, you can be proactively doing something about that, right? Getting feedback from the customers or patients for specific conditions rather than giving an unconditional survey. They ask for something or they are in for something, you can give specific targeted surveys and get feedback. And you can do escalations on top of that if let's say, the feedback comes negative, right? You can do something about it. So I don't know if I'm out of time or? Oh, okay. Okay. So, and all of this, and I talked a little bit about education, right? Like if I'm coming for, let's say, diabetes, I could be prescribed very specific set of videos I'm supposed to watch, meaning, let's say I'm required to watch, I'm recommended to watch certain things, or maybe I may be specifically required to watch post-op care. Previously, that is done by a nurse, right? Explicitly coming in and walking through that thing. Instead, I can conveniently watch it on my own, and if I don't understand, I can indicate in my survey that maybe I didn't understand, so somebody can come and walk through that with me. So these are some of the things that can be done through this portal. Another example, I'm going to flip to a completely different use cases. In the context of a retail and logistics, we are deploying the smart lockers in your neighborhood pharmacies and retail establishments, right? The concept is I order things online. I want it delivered to the store, but I want to come and pick it up whenever I want, wherever I want. It could be near my 7-Elevens, or it could be just outside the retail store in which I'm going to be coming and picking it up, right? And this offers various optimizations, right, into the entire workflow chain. We talked about Internet of Everything, where you want to leverage the logistics and gain efficiencies. So this is one such example where we have used more of this full engagement with the customer integrated into the workflow that enables you to transact with the system. Let's say, picking up a delivery, or maybe on an emergency. Let's say if there is some kind of an event and you need some emergency supplies. Those emergency supplies could be preloaded into this system, and you could go and just transact with the system and gain without having to go to the store and look for store that's open. And again, this provides a full end-to-end experience where the operators of the system would have KPIs and dashboards and customer support, and each of these kiosks would have a video-enabled two-way interactions. So you are able to interact with the system on your own, or you could have assisted interaction with a two-way interaction where somebody says, okay, I forgot my release code, and they could open it for you. If they are confused about how the system is working, they could help you and provide a tutorial. Or if you are coming in to return something, you could interact with them and then make the transaction go through smoothly. So that's one other example. The third example, I briefly talked about this, is the context of, again, a healthcare. Cisco Health Presence is a remote health telemedicine-oriented solution that could be applied in retail establishments for more sophisticated wellness and healthcare services, right? Let's say you want to treat the worried well. People are worried about certain things. Rather than they taking an appointment, they could come into this retail establishment and tap into the remote healthcare provider, right, without using a hospital visit or an emergency visit. And also, you can renew prescriptions and some of the standard things that we have to stand in line and look for appointment, but you can gain access to all of this through a remote portal, if you will. So bringing this back together, these are just few of the solutions that we have done, and I have more examples of it. Like in smart cities, we have some smart parking solutions, that's able to do video-based analytics to detect presence of vehicles and direct you to the free parking and such. All of these solutions have a common pattern. If I look at this from the top, we talked about an administration console and a dashboard, right? So those elements, we've been using this, some of the elements from WSO2 stack, for example, the gadgets, the user experience server, to create reusable dashboards and reusable application components, let's say user management or some common administrative tabs could be done ahead of time, one time for one solution that can be reused across multiple solutions, that could be kept in a repository, that could be assembled into a solution dashboard quickly. So that's one pattern. And if you come down, the second one I'll talk a little bit about is number 4, is the API gateway as a means to get all of the API services coming into the system, not just for third-party interactions, but all the user interactions coming from the dashboard and admin systems to enforce authentication, authorization, licensing, and one more thing I'm missing. And auditing, for example. Let's say if you are in a healthcare situation, you're doing a whole bunch of things, and I want to capture all of that in one place. And then what do I want to do with it, right? You capture all of that and feed it into this BAM, right? Engine such as from WSO2, which has got Cassandra Hive-based mechanisms to extract analytics and KPI that can be fed back into the dashboard. based on information that, let's say you are monitoring from what's happening at the user interaction level or different services being invoked. You get all of that, dump it into BAM, and I'll also talk about this. Another related pattern is, as we are feeding information into BAM, we also take it to a CEP engine that Srinath talked about to gain real-time alerting and real-time KPI information. I'll give an example of that, right? For example, if in the context of healthcare, a patient is asking for requests multiple times, and you may want to kind of derive the information that they are a high demand, or they are more concerned about some of the services they are gaining, and you can provide more attention. Right? You could notify a charge nurse or a head nurse indicating this patient needs more care, and possibly you may need to direct a more experienced nurse to take care of this patient. So there are any number of situations that you could apply this complex event processing. But throughout all our solutions, we've applied the CEP and a BAM in a kind of a dual mode, feeding all of the event data through the SEP and then persisting all of that into BAM, and then gaining business insights from both. One in real time that the application can act upon immediately, and other that can be reflected into the dashboard as well as reported for offline processing. And the third piece I'll just highlight, we may run out of time, is we have this concept of an adapter framework, which enables us to abstract out all the services of the southbound systems that we interface with, right? Whether it's, we talked about electronic medical records, or the nurse stations, nurse assignments, nutrition systems. And as we go to different hospitals, you may have different systems you may have to interface with. But we provide an abstract, functional abstraction model and a consistent API that's been created. And on a per location basis, we can dynamically load a specific adapter. Let's say I'm deployed in a hospital with 2-3 buildings. In one building, they may have one electronic medical record system, and another, let's say for women's health system, they may be running a different one. But based on the location of that particular request, it could dynamically load that particular adapter. So this is one example of a reusable pattern that we've applied across these solutions. So I just want to put up one more. We talked about the smart locker. If you look at it, the pattern is very similar. And I'll mention one more thing in this context. We talked about the admin, and then the experience itself provided on kiosks and mobile devices. But the application itself is broken up in terms of integration workflows as well as business workflows. We use Spring-based, for example, Spring-based integration, Spring integration to do the initial handling of all requests coming into the system as API calls, and dispatch it into different backend service layer. And the backend service layer itself is implemented using business workflow, business process workflow. And so that's another pattern that we've used. So I'll probably stop at this. I have, like, for example, I talked about this API gateway where we do all of these different elements, auditing, licensing, and authorization, and such. And the last slide I'll just flash is, in the context of BAM and SEP, we have kind of baselined this kind of a pattern where all and any information that's coming into the system, events, unsolicited events, application events, API requests, are all fed into this BAM and SEP in parallel, and various processing can be done on top of that. So I think I ran out of time. So if you have any questions. Thank you. All right.